The following program is a Town of Colonie television production of the William K. Sanford Town Library.
Thanks everyone for coming and spending your time, your lunch hour, or whatever it is for you. This is the basic interview presentation. Everybody has individual needs and wants, which if we have some time for questions, I'm happy to answer those for you. The PowerPoint presentation is based on something I borrowed from the Department of Labor many years ago. I have some friends over there that work in the human resources field, and we kind of collaborated together and did a presentation. I've tweaked it a little bit over the years. We're just using it as a basic. I'm doing this for quite some time. In my 36 plus years working for the state, 25 of them was in the human resources field, basically doing a lot of stand-up training and soft skills, they call it. Getting along with people, time management, interviewing, resume, all kinds of things for the different agencies. Over the years, a lot has changed as far as looking for a job, researching a job, going on interviews, preparing a resume. It's ever changing. So what I ask you to do, if you are out there actively seeking for a position, keep on top of things. There's all kinds of websites out there. We're very fortunate in this digital age that you can go to Google, you can research books, you can talk to people. It's all about keeping up with what's prevalent in the world today. So, interviewing, what does it really mean? The purpose of an interview. It's a collaboration, all right? It's not always about what the employer wants, it's also about what you want. All right, you have to be a fit for the organization. It's a combined effort. You may research this company and talk to different people and then decide, I don't want to work for that company. You may be able to, be fortunate enough to pick and choose where you want to work. So it's a combined collaboration. Two-way process. Has anybody been on an interview recently? Let's talk about the different kinds of interviews. We're going to jump around a little bit. Phone interview. Experiences with phone interviews. I'm going to tell you, for a phone interview, you still have to be prepared. I mean, you can be in your pajamas if you want. That's okay. But I find that if you dress the way you would for an interview and prepare yourself, you're better able to portray your strengths, even over the phone. Agree, not agree? I mean, if you want to be in your pajamas, that's okay. I think that you should be prepared. How to be prepared? Research the company. How could you do that? Anybody? Website? LinkedIn. We had a great presentation last week on LinkedIn. I don't know if anybody came to it. LinkedIn is very big now. 10 years ago, it wasn't. All right, it was just starting to become aware of its different capabilities, but now the companies, a lot of them are on LinkedIn. How do you prepare for a phone interview? If you're lucky, they'll let you know between what time they're going to call so that you can be ready. Sometimes they don't do that. They'll say, well, we'll be calling you for a phone interview this week. So what do you do then? I mean, you can't take your whole week and make yourself available. At that point, I think it's okay to say, well, could you give me a better idea of when you're going to call? I want to make sure that I'm available. I want to make sure that I'm prepared. And it's okay to say that, okay? It's okay to say that. You can say it in a very professional manner, all right? They need to understand that, and they do understand that. So if you can pinpoint a time, I think you should. How else do you prepare for a phone interview? Take your phone off a call waiting. We've had phone interviews with people over the years where you're talking to them and all of a sudden you hear beep, beep, You know how annoying that is? And if it's a tie between you and someone else who is just as qualified, I can guarantee you they're going to pick the person that didn't aggravate them. It's human, all right? We're human beings. You have to play that game. Unfortunately, is it fair? No, it's not fair. But take your phone off a call waiting. If you have a dog, put the dog outside, okay? We don't want to hear the dog barking. We don't want to hear kids screaming, because kids scream, all right? They do, all right? If you have a trusted friend, spouse, somebody who can help you out, have them move your children somewhere else. Or I have 3 grandchildren, and when they get together, they're loud, all right? They're loud. Kids are loud. They're supposed to be. Find a place where it's quiet and you're prepared mentally as well as physically. Any questions on that? I had a girl who was going on an interview for a phone interview, and she was a nervous wreck about it. Nervous, nervous, nervous. She had 2 little children. She had someone come to her house and take the kids up into the playroom. She locked herself in her bathroom without flushing the toilet or turning the water on, so that she could have a peace of mind and be able to listen to the conversation. I mean, it all sounds kind of silly, and people say, well, that's just common sense. You would be surprised how people don't think about those things. I think you should dress. I'm not saying you got to put on a 3-piece suit. I think you should look nice. I think you should comb your hair. I think you should record yourself talking. Everybody has a smartphone or knows someone who has them. Take a paragraph or a couple of questions. Record yourself. Listen how you sound. It's really important because people like people. And if you have an annoying voice, or you're saying all the time, or sniffling, coughing, nervous laugh, you know, we all get nervous. I mean, everybody gets nervous. I'm sorry. That's just what happens. You have to prepare yourself. Have somebody record you, or record yourself on your smartphone. Listen to the playback. I know it sounds silly, but it's true. You would be amazed how people sound when they think they sound great, and then you hear yourself talk back. It's like, wow, I didn't know I sounded like that. Enunciate your words. Don't talk like this. Don't talk like this. All right? Even tone of voice is very important. Questions about that? Because the phone interview, you know what the purpose of the phone interview is? To weed people out. That's the purpose. It's the purpose of resumes. You know, companies get 50 resumes for one job, maybe. Their job is to go through them and toss out. Phone interviews, their job is to toss out people. Before they even meet you, they might toss you out. Or they may say, wow, this person was so prepared and so professional. Have a list of questions. Have a piece of paper. Have a pen. Know about the company. Okay? Then you're going to go on a one-on-one interview, or a group interview, or a behavioral interview. Behavioral interviews usually are, they're going to present you with a situation, and you're going to explain to them how to handle that situation. Was that hiring interviews, all right? Sometimes there's a panel of people. We used to do a lot of panel interviews years and years ago because we had so many applicants for certain jobs. One person was usually the nice person. One person was the one who wanted to bait you into arguing with them. And the other person just sat there and kind of didn't even make eye contact with you. I think they've done away with a lot of that because people have complained, but it still exists in certain companies. So how do you prepare yourself for that? Prepared. Know yourself, all right? Let's talk about yourself. They're always going to ask you about strengths and weaknesses. That's one of the big, big questions in the interview process. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Your strengths are your accomplishments and your skills. You can elaborate a little bit more. I mean, yes, they have your resume, but let's elaborate a little bit. These strengths, they need to be relatable to the job that you're seeking, okay? There's a lot of buzzwords on the job application that describe the job, correct? You need to sell yourself with those relatable skills. All right, this is the job they're seeking. This is the description of the job. How do you fit into this process? Understand? No? Question? How do you fit into it? You have to be able to talk about the job as it relates to your skills and accomplishments. Okay? Your weaknesses. We're going to elaborate a little bit more on strengths and weaknesses a little bit later. Weaknesses. Never, ever talk about a weakness that relates to the job description. All right? Don't do it. We all have weaknesses. Try to find a weakness that is not part of the job. And when you're talking about your weakness, such as presentation skills or something like that, talk about what you're doing to actively make that a strength. All right? If it's a weakness, if you are not a team player, you've been told you're not a team player, you don't like to work in a team, part of the job description is you need to be able to work in a team. Please don't say that your weakness is that you don't like working in a team. Think about the job description. Think about the job. Make your weakness not part of that. Say one of your weaknesses is presentation skills. All right? I'm not good at public speaking. Public speaking is not part of the job description. But I've taken 2 or 3 public speaking classes or presentation skills classes, and I'm actively working to improve that skill. You have to show that you're working to get rid of that weakness. We're all human. No one has no weaknesses. Everyone has a weakness. Make it minor. Don't elaborate. Answer the question, let them move on. Oh, well, I can't get to work on time. You'd be surprised at people who say that. I got 3 kids, there's no way I can get to work at 8 o'clock in the morning. That is just impossible. You're out of there, all right? They don't want to hear that. But you would be surprised how many people don't understand that that is not what you say. In this area, there's a glut of jobs. There's a glut of people looking for jobs. We have many campuses, we have government facilities, we have GE, we have Global Foundries, but we have a lot of people in this area looking for work and a lot of specific jobs. We're going to skip that. Behavioral interviews. That's job specific usually, along with you're placed in a situation, or you have a team of people working for you. This is your task. How would you handle this task? You have to be done by you have a deadline. And 5 people are on your team. One person called in sick. The next person's looking at their phone the whole time. The next person is a know-it-all. The next person is this, and then there's you. How would you handle this situation? Those are behavioral type questions. Remember, don't ever negatively talk about somebody in your team. Don't do it. As bad as they could be. A little story, I went to SUNY, and we had these group things that we had to do. And for a long time, I really, really did not want to work in a group. I was older than everyone else. Everyone else was in their late 20s, early 30s. I was a working parent with 2 kids. I was 40. And these kids came in. I called them kids. And they couldn't be bothered. Oh, but we'll get it done. And I was like, no, we have to be. We would meet at the library here on Saturdays. They would show up half hour late. Oh, well, I went out last night. Drove me crazy. But You have to take the good strengths from those people. And I'll tell you what happened. We worked really hard. We had to put on a presentation. It was about marketing, which to me is not my cup of tea. These two gentlemen, our projector wasn't working, and I was panicking. I was ready to present, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? They came in, and their technological skills were far better than mine. They whipped out, they did this, and they had everything, and we presented it, and you know what? In the end, we got an A. Did they do a lot of the work? No, they didn't. But boy, when push came to shove, I needed them. So always remember, when you're working in a team, there's always something good that you need to pull out of somebody. When I supervised, my brief stint of supervising for 10 years, which was difficult, I always try to remember everybody has something to bring to the table. You may not see it initially, okay? You may not. But remember, somebody is good at something, and maybe you're not so good at it. You bring that out in the person. So in a behavioral interview, don't negatively ever put somebody down, all right? Because they'll give you those scenarios, and they want to see how you can handle all different walks of life, all different kinds of people. All right, that's what behavioral interviews are. You know, sometimes we have, we want to tell people stuff. We all do. You know, oh my goodness, I can't believe that person, blah, 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 blah. But you never know who they're going to go back and tell. In social media today, holy moly, everything's out there. What you ate for dinner, what you didn't eat for dinner. Be careful. I'm constantly reminding a friend of mine, don't put this stuff on Facebook. Don't do it. Oh, nobody reads Facebook. Yes, they do. Nobody can see that. Yes, they can, because if one of your friends comments and that's a friend of somebody else and somebody else, they're going to see it. If you're out there looking for a job, be so careful about Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter. What else is there? I don't even have a Twitter account.
I was saying Instagram.
Is there something? Tumblr? I don't.
Yeah.
It's too much for me. Like, my goodness. But be very, very, very careful, because if you're out there looking for a job and you are in Hannaford and you run into somebody and they say, oh, you know, I saw so-and-so, and you go, ugh, that person's father, uncle, aunt, so-and-so. Could it be a manager of a company that you're out there looking? You go on an interview and you're rude to the people in the elevator. Don't do it. Don't do it. That person could go tell that person is interviewing. Oh my goodness, she was so rude. She ran right in front of me. She almost knocked me over. Be careful. Be nice. Be kind. Even if that person is not worthy of your kindness. Let me put it to you like that. There's a lot of people out there not worthy of your kindness. But if you're out there looking for a job, I'm telling you that the connections that we have in today's world are great in so many ways. But they're also not good in so many ways, because everybody knows everything about everybody. I had a client who went out and was going on an interview, had just moved to the area about a year ago, and she was unsure of exactly where to go. I do recommend going the day before, checking out the parking lot, all right? Finding out, well, I'm not an employee, where do the visitors park? If it's pouring rain out or snowing or windy or whatever, you want to give yourself time. Find the parking lot, find where the visitors park. Even if they told you when they, you know, sometimes they tell you, of course, when you're going on an interview, well, you should park in lot D, whatever. It's still confusing in some of these big places, and if you've never been there before, go check it out. You know, go check it out. Go look at the parking lot. Go see where you're supposed to park. Make sure you're early, all right? I pride myself on being early only because I like to be organized. My family makes fun of me. Well, you don't have to be there till 6 o'clock. Why are you leaving now? I don't like to be late. That's just a part of me. That's how I was raised. That's how I am still at this old age of mine. I don't like to be late. I like to know where I'm going. That's just the way it is. I'm not a person who goes by the seat of their pants. I can't do it. It's not my DNA. Some people, I'm amazed at how good they can just go with the flow over that stuff. You never know. What if you get there, you step in a puddle, your feet are all wet, you got to spend some time in the ladies' room or the men's room, you want to look professional. Get there early. I had another person who went the day before during closing time, like at 5 o'clock, and watched the people coming out just to see how they were dressed and just to get an idea of the company. Those little things, if you have the time, you know, not everybody has all this amounts of time to do this, but I would suggest doing whatever you can to give yourself an edge up. Just give yourself that edge. Okay. So we talked about before the interview. What can we do? We can look up the company. What things do we need to know about the company? Mission statement. That's a big buzzword in today's world. All right, what is a mission statement of the company? Know it. Maybe they're not going to ask you that question, but some kind of question might relate to that company's vision, what they hope to do. And also, if you look at that mission statement and their vision, and it doesn't agree with how you feel, maybe you don't want to work for this company. You know, like I said, it's a two-way collaboration. Know the company, know what their goals are. If it's a sales company, know their sales figures, know what they did over the last quarter, the last year. I want you to treat it like a homework assignment, all right? You know, it's a long time since most of us have been in school, except for maybe Jen. But for me, it's been a long time, all right? I graduated from college when I was 50. Because I went back after I was already working. So, but still, that's 12 years later, and you know, it's been a long time. But treat this as a homework assignment. Treat it as something, if you're seriously out there looking for a job, and you really want a job with whatever goals you want to make, you know, say that, you know, you want to make enough money to be able to pay off your mortgage, make enough money to put money in the bank for your grandchildren. Whatever your goal is, if you're serious about the job, you have to do the homework. All right? You can't just waltz into a job interview. Not in this area. Not going to happen. All right? Unless you are the company's granddaughter, the owner's granddaughter, or you have some kind of connection like that. All right? Then you can do all the homework in the world, and you may not get the job because of someone else's connections. Don't put yourself down for that, okay? Because that happens in the teaching world, happens all the time. My daughter went to St. Rose. She was going to be a teacher. She had a 3.8 cum. She did student teaching, got rave reviews. This was, let's see, she's 36 years old, so this was quite a while ago. Could not get a job around here. Did all the right things, did all the right things. It was very, very hard at that time to get a teaching job in the suburban council area. And she could not, because every time she got to the final three, the principal's granddaughter, niece, you know, the school boards, that's the way of the world. It's all about who you know, all right? Maybe make some of those contacts, all right? Those people who come to the library, those people who go to the gym, those people who you see in Hannaford. I'm in Hannaford all the time. I see everyone there. I see everyone in Hannaford. The butcher, you know, you never know what kind of connection you're going to make with those people. Oh, I didn't know you were looking for a job. Gee, you know, so my daughter is, you know, the president of blah, blah, blah. You never know. Smile. We can't all walk around with these pasty smiles on our face, but if you're out there looking for a position, I ask you to just play that game. Just play that game. It won't last forever, all right? You can be cranky, as I say to my grandchildren, don't be cranky pants. There's no cranky pants at Nana and Papa's house. We do not have that. You don't have to be cranky, but be nice, be pleasant. Hold the door for people, all right? That person that you slam the door in their face, maybe they're going to be on the interview panel that you go on a month from now. And you walk in the room and you went, oh my goodness. All right? But what do you do if something like that does happen? Let's talk about that. All right? Because maybe we've all had some kind of experience with that. What do you do if something like that happens? Anybody?
You apologize, of course,
Right?
and then you. My mind is blank.
That's okay. You apologize. That's it. Don't elaborate. All right? Just say, I'm really sorry about, it was just not a good day for me. I so apologize. It was rude of me. Let it go. Let it go. You don't want that to be in their mind. You apologized. You're ready to move on. Move on. Okay? Same thing when you talk about things that, maybe you left a company and it wasn't such a good thing. And they know about it, obviously. Asked and answered. Yes, I left the company for whatever reason. And then let them move on, all right? Don't elaborate. Don't make it a 15-minute conversation about bad things that happened at this place that you used to work in, okay? Don't do it. Because that's the thing that they're going to be thinking of. They're not going to be thinking about that you've, moved away from that. They're going to be thinking about how you presented yourself, okay? Always, always. 2 sentences, let them move on to the next question, all right? We all have a past, all right? We all have a past, and I always told my kids, it's not what you did. It's what you did as a result of what you did after that makes you the person you are. How did you overcome that? You talk about that. You talk about overcoming things that are not so good in your life. What you did as a result of something bad that happened. We've had clients that have had, DWIs. We make mistakes in life, all right? We all do. And if you didn't make any mistake, then you're going to make one, all right? Because you don't live in this world without making a mistake. It's what you do as a result of that mistake that makes you the person you are. Okay? All right. So before the interview, we talked a little bit about, you researched the organization. All this stuff is in your handouts too. You get the facts. Research the position. How can you research the position? How do you think you could, they're hiring for administrative assistant. All right. How do you find out what that position is if you don't already know?
Of course, the internet, you read the trade publications.
Okay.
You go to the social networking.
LinkedIn has a lot of that stuff.
The LinkedIn. But you also go to the get-togethers that they have in the community.
Okay.
It's very important.
It's very important for human connection, right? To know what kind of people work for this company. Do you want to work there? The position, what does it entail? The job description. What is the job? Can I do the job? Do I have relatable skills that I could do this job? And how would I present that to them if they asked me? You talk about, go ahead.
So does LinkedIn have like a job board or something?
What it does is LinkedIn has different businesses and organizations on their site. You have to sign up and be a LinkedIn password, and you have an account with them. It doesn't cost anything. And then last week we had a great presentation from a person who actually works for LinkedIn. She was fabulous. But you can go to LinkedIn and you can move around, just sign up. And what it does is you put your skills down there and it relates different jobs to your skills, and it might send you different notifications. There's all kinds of things you can do on LinkedIn. That would be another 2-hour presentation, but you can research that. And anybody who's really familiar with social media that can walk you through that. My kids know better about LinkedIn than anybody, because my son works for Department of Labor and the Human Resources, and they do a lot of LinkedIn now. The state government does that. They do a lot of Twitter stuff. So you have to get up to speed. And remember, what you learn this month about LinkedIn could change next month. It just does. All right, so you get the facts. Where do you look for information? We're very fortunate. You can Google the company, all right? Google the company. Google is huge. Look it up. How many employees does it have? You know, what is their focus? What do they do? And sometimes on different business websites, it has job descriptions of the different jobs. You know, how did you apply for the job? Did you see it in the Times Union? Did you see it on Monster.com? Did you know, go to an employment agency and they helped you? You know, there's all kinds of things. And they have job descriptions as well. You can look it up here in the library as well. We used to have business journals. I'm not sure if everything's online now, Ann, or do they have the actual paper copy? The paper copies. There's all kinds of... The library is a huge resource. And guess what, guys? It's totally free. All right? The staff here is top-notch. They're very, very helpful. And I don't get paid to say that because I don't get paid to work at the library. I'm only a volunteer. But they are top-notch. They know what they're doing. They'd be able to help you. Now, obviously, if it's a really busy time, you know, and they're helping other people, you have to, you know, let's learn some patience and just say, hey, I'd like to sit down with somebody. Is that possible? Set up a time and show up. If you're going to say you're going to be here at 10 o'clock, be here at 10 o'clock. And if you can't, call up and say you can't. All right? Because people are, you know, putting aside time to help you. And this is free. There's so many free things. Department of Labor, their unemployment office, very helpful. You know, people say, oh, the state of New York, those employees. Not everybody is like what you hear about. Not every state employee is lazy. It's a terrible reputation, but I will tell you, I was a former state employee. My husband is a former state employee. Both my children work for the state. We all are not lazy, all right? There's some really hardworking, helpful people. It's just like any other organization that you might work for. There could be some lazy people in GE. There could be some lazy people, you know, it just happens, all right? DOL, the Department of Labor's website is fabulous, all right? You can Google State of New York, Department of Labor. They have an unemployment section. They have a resume prep section. They have an interview prep session. They have all kinds of sections that you can read sitting in your living room on your laptop or your computer or your tablet in your pajamas, having your cup of coffee, take notes. They used to do some free classes. I'm not sure that they do that anymore. I think if you're on unemployment, they will. But whether you are just actively seeking a job and you are employed somewhere, or I don't know that they provide that for you. They used to, but I think with money that they don't do it anymore. But if you are on unemployment, the resources out there that are free are fabulous. Take advantage of everything you can get. Talk to all kinds of different people. Everybody, you know, you absorb it all, you take it in, and you find out what works for you. Like we said, you know yourself. Let's talk about, do we know ourselves? All right. One of your handouts is a 60-second commercial. We can go to that now. I think we'll do a little work. 60-second commercial, or they call this the elevator, whatever. This is where you want to do your homework. You want to talk about yourself. When they say, tell me about yourself. Well, I'm 36 years old, and I did this, and I did that. No. First of all, they've already seen your resume. You don't have to tell them how old you are. All right? You don't want to talk like this. You're selling yourself. It's a commercial. All right? So what do you want to do about tell me about yourself? So this is your homework to do so that you can answer the question. All right? So the first thing says list your areas of expertise. What do you think that means? Yes? Your education, your certificates, your diplomas. Any volunteer experience. Some companies love that you volunteer. One of the big companies, CEFCU, all right? CEFCU and Capcom, which are, you know, pretty big in this area, they let their employees actually take, after you've passed probation or whatever they call it, They let you have so many hours a week during their time to go out and do some volunteer work. When I volunteered for the American Cancer Society, we had a program called Road to Recovery. And part of that was driving people to chemo and radiation that could, had no family members here and couldn't drive themselves. They were too weak. Certain companies would sign up to do that. CEFQ was one of them. Capcom was another one. Berkshire Hathaway Realtors always did it. There were some people that used to be called something else, and those people actually were able to spend so many hours a week volunteering during their work time. Companies love to know that you volunteered, all right? You don't have to elaborate about it, but talk about your volunteer work, what you did, how it might relate. It might relate to this job. Some companies love volunteerism. They love the fact that you are a well-rounded individual. Some want you to be that person that, just sticks their nose to the grindstone. You have to find out what that is, and you can find that out by knowing the company and knowing what their mission is. All right? Are you fluent in any languages? A lot of companies deal a lot with the Spanish-speaking world and what other languages are we got big in? There's a lot of French. If you are fluent in another language, talk about that. A lot of the call centers, if you're out there looking for an entry-level call center position, the tax department has one, higher ed has one. There's all kinds of other private companies that have call centers. They love the fact that you can speak another language. And based on that, they might hire you over somebody else who might not be fluent in that language if that's part of the job. You never know. You don't know. If you're fluent in another language, you can talk about that. Any recent training or seminars that you attended? Talk about different trainings that you've taken. Well, I've taken all of the Word classes and Excel classes and whatever that they had to offer at XYZ company, or here at the library, they also have them. Talk about that. That's part of your homework, of learning about yourself. All right? Questions about your areas of expertise. The job description. Look at the job description. How do your areas of expertise fall into that job description? You have to know yourself. I don't know you. You have to know yourself. They may not know you. You're selling yourself. All right? Your strengths and accomplishments. What have you done that was noteworthy? Anything? Think about it. Take some time. Talk to different people that you might have worked with before, or are good friends that can be very honest with you. All right? They can tell you, well, don't you remember you did this? And they're like, gee, I forgot all about that. Oh, yeah, I did that like so many years ago. I forgot all about that. Write it down. Did you win an Employee of the Year award or the Month award, or, that you might have forgotten about? Write that down in that spot. This is your homework so that you can prepare to answer the question. Are you a good communicator? Can you evaluate things? Can you analyze things? And then give an example of how your great communication skills helped accomplish a goal in the company that you used to work for. All right? Always give an example. Don't just say, I'm a team player. Okay. Well, how are you a team player? What did you do to get to that point? Were you given a certain goal or deadline to meet and your team met it? Talk about not only the words, but what you did to get to that point. All right? Yes, you're a great communicator, you're a team player, you love people, you love this and you love that. Well, how does it relate to the job? All right? It's not like, we're going for a job to be somebody's friend. We're going for a job against other people that may be just as qualified on paper than you are, that you have to sell yourself. All right? Talk to different people. If you say, I never did any of that, you'd be surprised at what you might have forgotten that you did, or that was noteworthy at the time that you didn't even think about. We have friends that pat us on the back and tell us, oh, everything will be all right. But then we have those friends and family members that will tell you like it is. Those are the people you want to talk to. The ones who will honestly tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly about yourself. We don't want to hear the bad and the ugly. We really don't. But sometimes we have to listen to it and find out how we can improve ourselves. All right? How have you grown throughout your career, if you have? What have you accomplished? I worked for, blah, blah, blah company for 25 years. During that 25 years, I started as an entry-level person. Over the course of several years, I did X, Y, Z. That's how you know yourself, what you did. Some of us have long careers, long years of working, and we kind of forget those first 10 years, maybe because we were raising our family or, busy helping other people. We kind of forget. I was a volunteer when my kids were little at the West Albany Athletic Association, which was a baseball organization. And I handled all their finances, all their books. I was the treasurer and the secretary. I had completely forgotten that I ever did that. I was like, oh, well, that shows organizational skills. It shows that you know how to manage money. Think about things that maybe you did when, you were first starting out working. What are your personal traits that make you unique? What do you think that means? Anybody? How well you play with others. Yeah. But how does it relate to the job? All right? You can't say, oh, I play well with others. And I'm not putting you down, but you have to, I played well with others, and this is how I did it. All right? There's always, this is how I did it, this is how I accomplished it. I get along with other people. I find myself, very willing to get along with people, very willing to work in a team. Because when I worked for blah, blah, blah. Or, I had some stay-at-home moms that were just coming back to work. All right? Maybe they worked, at the school or something like that. And their kids are grown, they're in school full-time, they're working. Well, maybe they belong to a mom's group. And part of that mom's group was getting everybody organized to maybe go on a walk or, it's about organization skills. There's always something that you can come up with. You just have to do some soul searching and talking to different people. Like I said, it's a homework assignment. You got to think about it. Talk to people. Sit down with somebody who can really, really help you. Questions about that? Do you have a sense of humor? That's a personal trait that can be great or not so great, all right? Keep that in balance, all right? Look at the job, look at the company. See those people walking in and out of that place? Do they look like they have a sense of humor? Maybe some of them no. Is it something you really want to talk about? You got to figure that out, all right? It's great to have a sense of humor. Life is very hard sometimes. It's very difficult. We all go through all kinds of things in life. A sense of humor will help you get through those things. But will it help you get a job? Well, it depends on what job you're going for. All right? So be careful about a sense of humor. Are you open to suggestions? Are you willing to help other people out? That's a personal trait. How does it relate to the job? I know I sound like a broken record, but always talk about how it relates to that particular job. Vitally important. And what attracts you to this company? All right, that's how you know the company. You like the fact that they are, there's a lot of growth opportunities. The workers have a lot of pride. Think about how you would be attracted to this company and talk about it. All right, so that's your homework. To answer the question, tell me about yourself. You can do that on your own. And then have somebody ask you the question, tell me about yourself. And you answer the question and have someone record you. All right? Do it over and over and over again till you can actually tell somebody about yourself in no more than 3 minutes. Okay? Do not go on and on and on, because you will see these people that are the interviewers wiggling in their seat, looking down, taking notes, not making eye contact with you. All right, 3 to 5 minutes, that's it, okay? At the most, I mean, 5 minutes is a long time, all right, to blab about yourself, all right? So make it concise, make your words that people understand. Be able to make eye contact with somebody. Okay? Questions about that question? Tell me about yourself. Has anybody ever been put into a situation where they couldn't even answer that question? They didn't know what to do. Think about the job. Anything that you accomplished, how does it relate to the job? And then make that your greatest accomplishment. You can say, I've had many accomplishments in my life. One of the accomplishments that I think could be portrayed as one of my greatest is, and answer it like that, okay? That's all about being prepared. You know, if you go on Google and list, they'll say, what are the top 10 interview questions? That's one of them. Tell me about yourself. What are your strengths and weaknesses? If you were in a hardware store and, you know, what would you be able to sell me? You know, things like that. Prepare. It's all about preparation. All right? Okay, so that's the 60-second commercial that you should work on. Prepare your answers. We're going to skip that. All right, let's talk about some of the common interviewing mistakes. What do you think those are?
You never chew gum.
There you go. I agree. Don't chew gum. And don't have a big garlicky Italian meal before you're going to meet somebody.
Bring a pen.
What?
Bring a pen.
Bring a pen. Bring a portfolio that has a pen, a pad, your resume. Maybe some notes that you might have taken that if you're left out in a waiting room that you might want to refer to on a 3x5 card. What else? What else is the bad thing? We've talked a lot about being late, being unprepared. How about dressing? All right? What do we wear to an interview?
Business casual.
Business casual. All right? The climate of today's society is not, fancy dancy dresses unless you're going to work for fancy schmancy over in Latham and you're going to be selling dresses. I mean, it depends on the job. And there's certain positions that they do wear jeans and a t-shirt. I always used to tell people, dress for the job that you want, that you're going to aspire for, not for the job you're going for. Because I had people tell me, well, it's just retail. They just wear jeans and t-shirts. Well, that doesn't mean you have to wear jeans and t-shirts on the interview. Sure, when you go to work at Target, you're going to wear tan pants and a red shirt because that's what they wear. But when you go on the interview, wear nice, everybody's got a pair of black pants, okay? Or khaki pants. A nice top, a nice button-down shirt. You don't have to go get your hair done. Make sure your hair looks nice. You don't have to wear a ton of makeup. Big clunky jewelry, dangly bracelets for women. Don't do it, all right? Because you're going to be sitting at the table. Sorry, Greg, I'm moving over here. And that's all they're going to hear is the banging of your bracelets on the table. Nobody wants to listen to that. They're going to be totally put off by that. I guarantee you, because we used to sit and have conversations about interview people. And that's a big pet peeve, the big jewelry, the large amounts of makeup. Unless you're going to work for Sephora or the Macy's makeup counter. That's different, all right? It's all about the job. Dress nicely, all right? You can look nice with a nice pair of black pants and a white top and a sweater. Small amount of, not these big dangly earrings. If you have a vision problem, don't not wear your glasses, all right? Do not sit at the table and squint. I've had people do that too, all right? Put your glasses on if you need them, all right? That's who you are. Wear your glasses. It's okay. all right? It's okay to wear your glasses if that's part of you, who you are, all right? Common sense, I know. People are going, ugh, we already know all that. You would be surprised at what you might forget because you're nervous about the interview, all right? Think about it. It's all about preparation. Make sure that you're going to be there on time. Make sure that you've taken care of the kids that need to be picked up. Make sure you turn your phone off. Turn your phone off for the hour that you're going to be there. And if you're really waiting for a call that is really super important, then you might want to reschedule that interview, all right? Because your focus is not going to be on the interview. It's going to be on waiting for that phone call, all right? So you might want to reschedule until your life is a little bit better in order. Okay, it's just simple stuff. Let's talk about, has anybody ever been asked what's called illegal questions during an interview? All right, that's a big one these days. And how do you answer that if somebody says to you, well, are you going to be having more children? That's illegal, but it's been asked. How do you answer that question? Do you answer that question?
How does that apply to my job?
I wouldn't say that. Unfortunately, it's true. I agree 100% with you. All you need to say is, I am capable and able to perform the responsibilities of this job. They say, well, are you going to have any more children? You can say, answer the question as honestly as you can, but with the caveat that you can perform the job, all right? It is illegal for them to ask you that, and if you say, well, I think that's illegal to ask me that, you're not going to get hired. And maybe you don't want to work for them, okay? So think about it like that, all right? Let's talk, go ahead.
All right, what about the question, what year did you graduate?
What year did you graduate? That is not illegal to ask, I don't believe. I'd answer it honestly, because you know what? If you lie about it, they'll find out. Oh, he graduated in 1972, really? They're going to go look up Colonie Central High School and find out that you did graduate, at a certain... Just answer the question honestly. It's not an illegal question. That one isn't. Have you, the big thing now is convictions, felony convictions and things like that. If you have a past and you have that, they probably already know the answer to that question. So don't lie about it. Don't. Tell the truth. It happened 25 years ago. I have moved forward with my life, and these are the things I've done to move forward with my life. Period. The end. All right? Do not lie. Do not lie. Because they already know. Okay? I guarantee you that they already know. All right? When you go to work for certain government agencies, they do a background check on you anyways. If you go to work for the tax department, if you haven't filed your tax return, you will not get hired. I guarantee you that, all right? That's part of the job, all right? You may not know that they've already done that, but there's been people when I worked for the tax department that were actually escorted out after they had been hired because they never used to do that ahead of time. But part of working for certain government agencies is you had to file your taxes. This is so, so important. Words, 7%. Tone of voice, 38%. Your body language, okay? You're gonna sit in your chair, and usually it's chairs like this, and you're sitting at a table or in front of a desk. Sit nicely, all right? Do not cross your legs. Do not sit like this. Don't put your elbows on the table. Make eye contact with every single person in the room if there's 1 or 5 people. I use my hands a lot, all right? I can't get away from that. That's not a good trait. I'll admit it. It's not. I'm not going on a job interview, but try not to use your hands and try not to talk like this, all right? That's hard for me, super hard for me, all right? What else don't we do? How do we sit? How do we prepare? You put your portfolio in front of you, all right? You have it open in case you want to take some notes. Maybe you might want to jot something down if they're asking you a question, all right? Another thing to put in your portfolio, not to jump around, but before I forget, I'm looking at the time and I want to allow some time for some questions, is If they have not already asked you for people that they can call for references, please, please, please have a separate piece of paper with 3 to 5 references, with phone numbers, accurate phone numbers, okay? Accurate email addresses, in case, because I'm going to tell you how you might want to end the interview, and that's part of it. Bring that with you, make 5 to 6 copies, and put it in your portfolio, okay? References that can relate to you and the job, okay? Sometimes they don't want family references, all right? You don't want to put a reference down that might not say nice things about you, though, okay? So be careful. And I have been the recipient of getting calls for people for jobs, but I was never asked if I wanted to be a reference. Please, if you're putting a coworker or a friend down as a reference, tell them that you're doing, ask them if it's okay, all right? Please ask them, because you don't want to blindside them either, because then they can be prepared to get that phone conversation and to help you, all right? Don't make them go, okay, you know, say, hey, do you mind, I'm going on an interview, do you mind if I use you as a reference? Should I put down your email address? What phone number should I use? That's common courtesy to that person who's going to help you out. So please do that, all right? Have 5 copies of that, all right, in your portfolio. All right, I'm going to say, how do we end the interview? All right, because I want to allow about 5 to 6 minutes for some questions. How do we end the interview? If they say to you, do you have any questions? What are we going to say? You should have some questions. Have them written down ahead of time. A big question that, because some people are, well, they already, you know, I already know about the job. I'm done. No, you're not done, all right? You want to say to them, what's the next step in this interview process? Is there a second interview? When will you be making a decision? May I have your business card? Because you want to do, and I know that people think this is old-fashioned, but it's not, a follow-up thank you letter, email. If I was to contact you, is this the appropriate way to get in touch with you? Email, phone. You want to do a thank you. Don't ever say, I don't have any questions. Ask them what the next steps are. All right? Ask them. Will there be second interviews? When will you be making a decision? Is there anything else you need to know about me? Is there any other questions that I can provide to you? Any more information? That way you're ending it on your ball court, all right? Don't get up until they get up, okay? Wait for them to get up, shake their hand, ask them for their business card, let them, unless they say, oh, go right out. Let them go out of the room first, all right? It's all about common courtesy. It's all little games, all little games. Some will work, some may not. You know, this is all just general information. Okay? Right on time. I hope this was helpful for you. There's a lot more information out there. This is just, you know, your brief background. I want to thank you for coming, and I wish you all good luck if you're out there looking for a job. I hope it works for you. All right? Thanks.